Hey everyone, another Sunday, another market update. Let's just jump into it. Going over my previous video that I made last week, here are some of the plays that played out. So Bitcoin swept the lows. This was the long setup that we had, and it's up 5%. I'm still waiting for this short to play out. My trading style allows me to be patient and set up plays. I set this play up about 3 weeks ago. I'm still waiting for it. I'm not changing anything here, but let's start with a fresh Bitcoin chart and let's go over a few things here. Okay. So if we take a look at the line chart here, all right. So our daily market structure break lies around 105,862. Okay, we haven't broken above, so therefore we are still in a downtrend. Now, if we go back to the candles here, whoops. If we go back here, this is also very strong resistance. So it makes sense that we have been rejecting from here. All right. Above here and flip this to support, that's where you look for longs. Now we do have liquidity that we just put in after we swept these lows here. So this is the current range that we are in. Here's your highs and here's your lows. Let's go to a lower time frame. Let's check the 4-hour. Okay. I don't expect us to break above this area on the first go. Now, we can draw a trend line and you will clearly see that we have broken out of this downtrend, right? But we actually put in another lower high. So I am looking for at least a move to the mid-range. If we are bullish, that's where I'd be looking for us to hold. Now we do have support or an SR point here. This is our mid-range level. So if we do get a pullback, and we can draw fibs and we can take a look. Okay, if we do get a pullback around this 102.6 to 102 level is where I'd be looking for us to bounce. Now this would also be a retest of this downtrend, right? That the longer this takes, there's the retest of the downtrend, but don't be surprised if over the next few weeks that we go and take this liquidity, all right? Now, not this week coming up, but the week after, we have FOMC. That's also going to cause for a lot of volatility. I still expect us to chop around. We have no clear movement in the market just yet, but also every move that Bitcoin is making, alts are taking a deeper hit as well. So if Bitcoin pulls back just a little bit, alts get hit pretty hard. Currently, to me, still this is a Bitcoin focused market at the moment. I don't believe in fully allocating into altcoins until Bitcoin, breaks out from this level and flips it to support. Now, I spoke about the importance of this 100K level. This one here, 101.6 actually. Okay, so every time that we broke above 101.6 and got back below and turned it into resistance. So here's the closure below. There's the SR flip into resistance. There's the closure below. There's the SR flip. We actually got saved this time. All right. So far, this is good. All right. Now, the problem that I saw with a lot of people was they were mistaking this for a head and shoulders. Well, your head just formed. Your right shoulder hasn't formed yet. We don't have a touch of the neckline. If you are looking for shorts, you want to see this level at 101.6K lost and turn into resistance just like there, and that is when you are going to short with stops somewhere above here. Otherwise, you're going to short hard a little bit higher. Currently, this is a no trade zone at the moment for me until we see, a move back to the mid range or a short above here. All right, so Bitcoin is just stalling, and sometimes, like I've said, the best trade is no trade whatsoever. Now, what's also a little bit concerning is USDT dominance. Now, told you guys to be cautious when we had this, bullish divergence forming on the daily. We got the move. We have a supply zone here. We almost got it. I mean, we touched the SR point and rejected, right? But still, USDT dominance is putting in, if we close and go up like this, another higher low here. Okay, we have a bullish Quasimodo pattern with here's your low, here's your high, here's your low. We broke above market structure, putting in our first higher high into a higher low. So we do have the bullish Quasimodo pattern. Okay, so here's the rejection. There's the buy signal. I still think that this is why I say we could be chopping for another couple of weeks. Is I think this can go a little bit higher into this 507 to 520 range before getting a proper rejection. This is still, if you take a look at this from a higher point of view, this is currently, okay, here's the low. We could go and reject here and still put in a higher time frame lower high and then continue lower. All right, so I still think that we will get some chop. I don't think we're going to get rate cuts. If we do get it, I think it's going to be September. Um, my man Jay Powell isn't going to bend the knee to Trump. So I still think that whatever happened in the market is going to be choppy. And hopefully we don't have another nuclear fallout between two retards with Trump and Elon. Right. So this is what I currently see on US dominance. Now, the the bearish scenario would be, there and reject. Otherwise, if we lose market structure around, 465 and then lose structure to the downside, this would just be another lower high here, and then we continue down. And if we get to the $3.80 mark, that is where you basically sell for the remainder of the cycle, and then you just fuck off for a little bit. All right. Now let's take a look at ETH. Right. So ETH, same thing happened. This is the setup that I gave on my last video. We bounced perfectly from the 786 and the support level. And this gave a nice 1 hour trade, rejected at resistance. Now I'm going to remove this because it's already played out. Okay. So here's the range low. Here's your mid-range level. We are at mid-range, so this isn't a time to get, super horny and start longing here. You either long above this resistance level once this is flipped and you target here, or you play the range low level again. If we get to this $2,700 region, which is the range high, that's where I'd be looking to short. But I do think that ETH needs to run over here because here, I'm gonna share this really quickly. Let's go to another clean ETH chart. Not this one. Okay. So you can take a look at this and, however you want to see it. Okay, so let's say you think this is a bull flag, all right, or you think that this is an ascending triangle, depending again on how you want to see it. The question is this ascending triangle that we just had, here's your resistance level, right? Is this ascending triangle that we just had, did we just have another bearish retest of this trend line that we broke down from, which was also the mid-range level? Because if so, right? The technical targets for this is around 2100. Okay, that's where I personally would be looking to get into ETH. I have spot bids all the way down there. Okay, but this is previously support, turned to resistance. We broke out, so it's an SR point. That is where I'd be looking to get back in if we cannot get above this resistance level. Okay, if this is just going to be another lower high, right, that $2,100 level is where I'd be looking to get back in. So it's not impossible to drop down to that level. I mean, we were at 2,800 a few days ago, and we dropped down to $400 drop, which is another $400 drop from here. Okay, it's possible. Again, it's going to be very choppy these next few weeks until we have clarity. And if Powell comes out hawkish again, expect movement to the downside. Okay. Now we did reject from the supply zone. The supply zone did its job. Currently, if we break this down on a more intimate level, if I am looking for longs, I don't see anything, like I said, above here is where I'd be looking to long or the range lows. Okay. If we get above here, I'm not looking to short. I'd be looking to short the range highs. However, you can take a scalp short at this order block here, and it would look something like this with a very, very tight stop back down to the range lows. Okay. Now let's take a look at Sol. So Sol is having trouble with this resistance line. Okay. Now, is this another lower high here for Sol? We have not broken market structure just yet. Okay. So Sol actually looks like it has a bear flag. And the technical targets for this bear flag is around 132, which is actually support. Okay. So if we get a deeper move, that's where I'd be looking to long. We currently also have support around here-ish. Okay, we haven't lost the support line yet, but we touched it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So it's getting weaker and weaker. For me, it's all about confirmation. We haven't broken down from this downtrend. Okay, so here's a little falling wedge that we have. For me, I need to see this flipped into support. So basically, above, flipped, okay, and then higher, we could possibly go up into this resistance around 162 again, reject, come back down, have an inverse head and shoulders, and then continue higher. But if we do get down to this 130 level, I think that's a good opportunity to long and then play it all the way back to this area here. Now we have the left shoulder formed. We have the head forming. Okay, we don't really know where the bottom is yet, but let's say we go like this is the bottom, or we go down here, right? I see us possibly going to test this resistance area. This is a macro area where you could look to short. Okay, no longs on a macro level until this is flipped to support. Okay, so trigger play would be a breakout and retest and something like this to the neckline. Okay, most likely, let's take it from here. See how fibs work. From swing high to swing low, we rejected already from the golden pocket. But if we take it from, one sec. From that high to that low, if we do get to this SR point, this would be another shorting opportunity, but shorting opportunity also lies at this resistance area. Okay, so we have this here. We have a short opportunity here. Here is your long conditional trigger, and you have a short opportunity there with longs around this area. Okay, so these are the different setups that I see currently for Sol. I mean, on a lower time frame, there's an order block here that hasn't been tested either, and you have this one, but this one's very, very riskier because you have this liquidity waiting to be swept. All right. Now let's take a look at hype. Okay. So hype at resistance, right? We actually broke market structure there. So when you're looking at market structure breaks, okay, you don't just want to randomly short the first structure break that we have, right? Highs, lows, highs. We actually broke, put in a lower low, right? And then we put in our first lower high. So this would have been the confirmation to short. This was actually, I actually gave this short in Unity Academy and it filled perfectly. Okay. Now, gotta ask ourselves, is this going to be another lower high here? I don't like this candle that we just put in last 8 hours. Okay, take a look at here. Look what happens when we have bearish engulfing candles. So here, bearish engulfing went down, right? Here, bearish engulfing went down. Here, bearish engulfing went down. Lower highs. Most likely the setup, if you know, for the fuck is that, would be something like that to lower lows. Okay, now this one is riskier because as we've seen, hype has been able to hold up. We have a diagonal cup and handle forming here. Technical targets of this are much higher, but we also have this. Okay, so trend line still intact, but a possible short here with very, very tight risk does make sense. Am I taking this one? No, I'd rather long pullbacks than trying to, possibly short tops. But this is a valid setup, and taking profit levels are on you, peeps. So do with that what you will. If we get a deeper pullback in the markets, right, and hype loses its appeal, 27 down to 23 is the demand zone where I am personally interested in getting back into hype, or if we are able to break out and flip this resistance into support, right? That is your trigger, and entry would be something like this. Okay. Now let's take a look at ENA. ENA, I've covered this last video. Looks like a weekly double bottom, forming possibly. Now, this candle that we just closed usually is a reversal candle. Okay, we have a higher low placed as well. If we do again get a deeper pullback, I would position myself from 27 down to this 20-cent area. Okay, weekly closure below like 16 cents and target much higher. Okay, but this looks like a reversal candle forming. Um, Held pretty well on this dump that the alts are taking. Bitcoin went from like what 106,400 down to 105,400. I think Sol was at like 154. This has relatively stayed the same. So, it's holding, but gotta ask ourselves, we still haven't broken market structure. These are lower lows with lower highs. We need to get above this level to flip. That is a long trigger. Okay, that would be a bullish Quasimodo pattern. Otherwise, if we are looking for possible scalps, then this isn't a coin that I'd be looking to trade perps. Like I said, if we get deeper pullback, I'm positioning myself in spot from 27 down to 20 cents. But if we do get a deeper pullback into a higher low, this would be a potential setup that I'd be looking for. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The only reason I'm showing this is because of this here. Okay. Higher time frame looks really good. Now these plays can take weeks to months to play out. Doesn't mean it's going to happen immediately, but this looks pretty good for a multi-month hold. And who knows, it might give you, from here, if this gives you like a 23% move, that's great. All right, people are too cocky and they want like 100% moves super fast. Not going to happen. If you do want that, go in the trenches, give your money to a bunch of losers and sweaty people who live in their mother's basements, and they will give you a return of absolutely nothing and a rug pull. So, ETH, in my opinion, is going to outperform Sol. So if ETH gets a pullback, I do think that Ethereum is going to be the more attractive buy than the shitcoin of the century, Sol. And the last coin that I do want to go over because I see it on my timeline everywhere is Sui. Okay, so Sui still in a downtrend. We actually did break market structure, but the closure below that lower high was your trigger. Okay, there's another lower low. So for Sui to be bullish, you need it to go above 34.10 and flip that into support. Okay, once that happens, then you have a bullish structure. Okay, see clear resistance here. So breakout, flip, and we go higher. Now you have a lot of resistance around this $3.60 area, right? But if that happens, you got yourself like about a 10% move almost. Okay, that's pretty decent. You have untapped liquidity down here. Okay, and remember when I said that usually when you have this that just rips, it usually retraces its whole entire move. Well, it did it back on May. Okay, now what's I'm saying on my timeline, the only reason I'm going through this is everyone is saying that this is a head and shoulders. Well, the right shoulder really hasn't formed. Okay, so here's your left, here's your head. Move up there, maybe, but this is not enough for a head and shoulders pattern to, be sufficient or, I guess, alarming. Okay, um, if we do get a pullback, then yes, you might see this area hold. $3 still continues to be support. Okay, or 288, $3 continues to be support. So if we do get a pullback, this is where you want to bid. Oops. Okay. Very, very tight stops. But I do think that eventually we go back to this SR point here. Okay, this $2.78 region, which is my final DCA for my spot position. Okay, deeper bids into the golden pocket, great, but that $2.78 region I think will eventually get tested. Okay, so I'm not bullish on SUI until we break out and flip this $2.34 or sorry $3.34 into support. This is also not a falling wedge or a falling or a bull flag. This is just a downtrend. Okay, so wait for bullish structures to present themselves. Right now, most coins are still in a downtrend. Once that happens, you have a more clear view of the markets instead of getting chopped up. I know everyone wants to be in positions and make money, but like I said, once you have a clear trend, it'll be easier to make money instead of just chopping yourself up and hoping for 1 to 2% moves that way. Now, like I said, I think this takes another 1 to 2 weeks before we get some clarity. We do have FOMC not this week, but the following week. So expect it to be volatile then. Until then, I will see you guys in chats. Thanks, everyone.